think out loud. So, yesterday, I spent some time with Stack Blitz again, and also just rethinking maybe using NPM to organize my framework, and not really sure which way to go. My gut tells me we just need a better tool that kind of can do those things better. Now, for me to make that tool is going to mean just sitting around pulling a lot of hair out and not getting the shit done that I need to get done. And so reinventing another wheel is, it's like, yeah, sort of need something like that. There's all these tools that come together to make shit happen, and they're not ideal. And so I've been trying to figure out how to make it work, and it doesn't feel like a good solution. Like putting my framework into a node module means, well, I still got to have the Git repo. Still got to, like, every time I make a change, still got to commit, git, add, commit, message, push, whatever. But then I also have to update then, publish at 10 p.m. And then I got to go and update my NPM modules. And so it really just adds a whole bunch of extra work. And so, I mean, one of the bigger things that I was trying to solve with the Stack Blitz repo is that the start the project. The big problem is the framework is embedded in this repo. I think I deleted the Git folder and then added it to the main repo. So any changes made I'm not going to be able to push them back up, which isn't necessarily a problem. It is a little, but also then any updates are going to be, well, then it's the workflow. It's like, okay, so now when I have this separate repo, and then I also have the one for potentially making a GitHub page starter. And so now you have to have these two repos that you manage, and every time you update the framework, you got to merge it into these little starter site repos. It's like, yeah, not ideal. Submodules is kind of the way to go, but Stack Blitz doesn't support submodules, and so, well, and just in general, the whole Git, and Git is powerful, and it's like maybe it's a strong tool that can be relied upon for the short term, but in the long term, like all the commands and all the setup and all the stuff that it does is kind of crazy. I just feel like there's a better way. I mean, you could do most of the same kind of thing with web sockets and just file system commands. And so I was kind of thinking about maybe trying to take a stab at that, but the version control sort of needs to integrate into your IDE, which I don't really have. And, I could use Monaco. This is the Monaco code editor, which is what everyone's using these days. It's sort of like a code mirror. Let's see if I can inspect this. Dev tools. How does the Monaco editor do spans? Okay, spans and divs probably. Div view line. Those are pretty big too. Who knows why that's that wide? What the heck? That's kind of weird. Like, what is controlling this layout? It must be all manual or something. And with a bunch of resize handlers. I don't know. It's weird. So, yeah, and then this viewer pane, I think, is probably a custom integration. I don't think the Monaco editor comes with a little browser thing. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, all these Monaco. It could be useful to have a code editor. I just don't know. Let's see how big it is. Is it on NPM? Hopefully it's not only React. Microsoft. Try it out. Install. See, I don't even know how TypeScript works, and I don't really feel like figuring it out. And the fact that it's built with TypeScript just means, like, man, whenever you're choosing a tool like this, you're making potentially making a long-term commitment, and as you go down that route, you basically it'll test the relationship, and either it works or you start second guessing whether it works. And if it doesn't work so well, then you might think, like, well, you might have to dig into it. There's a lot of orange on here. A lot of feature requests. Who knows? But I don't like TypeScript. Also, I think just using plain old JavaScript is kind of my cup of tea. Now, rewriting a new one, like, I can do tabs, but okay, so are these content editable? Is that what's going on here? I don't think you can do content editable from CSS. I think it has to be a parent level, like Cascades, I believe. So everything inside is automatically content editable. Let's see if we can find one. So these are the lines. This is where it would likely be. I don't see that though. What else we got here? View zones. A bunch of empty divs are probably overlays. Is this a peer sibling? And there are a lot for containers. Lines, content. Doesn't have it. I don't know if I can filter elements by, can I do like a control F in here? I don't think this is, oh, maybe it is up here. Content 0. So how the heck, alright, so maybe they're using a text area mode. Text area, I could probably talk to the, okay. No idea where this thing is. Height 0. But I think from my brief chats with the computer about how these things work, I believe, is it really in a div that's way up here? Yeah, the text area is in here. I think they just give, is there only one? Oh, 1 of 12. Holy fork. Oh my god. Why? Could be that maybe there's one for each, like, input area. Like at the terminal, and who knows, but that's crazy. Are they all kind of doing the same thing? Just like positioned in an area. Okay, so here's one 1 pixel high. Who knows why this one has a height of 1 pixel instead of 0. And then does it take focus when, see, it's hard to say. Let me see if just make this thing bigger. Oh, it doesn't like that. Is it hidden? Overflow hidden, color transparent, outline none important. Trying to see this damn thing. Where is it? It's there, but we still can't see it. Background blue. Maybe it's a Z-index index thing. Yes, Z index. Okay, so now we see our little text area. And yeah, so the cursors are blinking out of sync, which is a little kind of interesting, but I think it somehow uses the same well, however it syncs it, it transfers the text area's characters to I'm gonna ask Gemini to go find me a lot of web editors use text areas. Use text areas to capture input. Can you find a make a list of minimal vanilla JavaScript. Think deep, computer. See, I don't even know if it's. I think part of what it is for is. Let me ask in a new tab. A lot of web editors using text areas. Why? I mean. So I think for like pasting in code, the text area is just a pretty robust way to like capture characters and not have the content editable divs and whatnot just fuck it up. Not a standard form field. I don't think it has to do with HTML forms. I thought it also had something to do with like international characters, but I don't think that can be like the main driver for this. Let's see what it said over here. Okay. Let's see if it's making this shit up. Transparent text area. The decorator maintains a styled copy of the content and a display layer which is aligned underneath the real text area. By using a real text area, we get all the native functionality for free. This usually includes keyboard input, navigating with a blinking cursor, making selections, cut, copy, and paste, sometimes drag and drop, and undo, redo. So, I don't know, maybe it's just as easy as that if you can get the CSS formatting, like just create some simple styles so that you can copy the text areas text in real time into, well, you'd have to syntax highlight it with but it's possible I could do that. Now making it transparent might fuck with some sort of like, browsers try and get real smart about that shit. Is there a demo? If there's no demo, then I'm not even gonna fuck with it. I don't know. It's not TypeScript, which is cool. Examples, but like, where do these live? There's gotta be. Oh, here. It's a GitHub page. Okay. Let's see if I would imagine that any kind of styling on this thing. That's pretty cool. So it's got a pre on top of the. Who knows why it's got a label? That has something to do with like focusing it when you click on it. The thing is 100% transparent. But it's underneath. Why would... Are there any Z indexes on these things? The thing is really minimal, I have to say that. Is like... Besides, it's like 3 elements. That's freaking awesome. Now, monospace is just a terrible idea. Important is a terrible idea. But I think we could get around that kind of thing. And how does this thing... There's no way this is what's doing the opacity. It's not even... It's crossed out. It says it's widely available. Why can't I toggle it? What the fuck? That's crazy. Why wouldn't you be able to toggle the filter? RGBA text area? I'm so confused. Where's RGBA? Oh my god. What the fuck? How is this working? Am I blind? Outline, resize, min width, overflow, color. Oh, this one. Duh. Yeah, well, I already toggled that one. Is that it? It just makes the text transparent. But again, why, if it's, does the absolute positioning put it on top? Let me just make it red. It must be on top, but like, oh, it hurts my eyes. It's doing something funky under there. Oh, tab key doesn't work? Oh man, well that's a bummer. I think I can fix that. And the fact that it works in real time is kind of cool. Alright, I'm going to look at the other ones. Code Flask. Microcode editor that uses the overlay method is slightly more batteries included. Let's give it a look. This looks pretty cool. The highlighting just looks terrible, but whatever. Can you select and copy paste? I mean, the selection is just so bad. You can't even read it. Oh my god. There's got to be a better way. got a cool website. Okay, so yeah, I don't know if what, wait. Just like using these things gets so crazy so fast. You can spend all day trying to just get it to work. And do I need this? No. So what was I thinking? I mean, I do have this little text area that works okay, so that's pretty simple and easy. Fell down the rabbit hole on these text area inputs. So I was considering trying to just kind of clean up the framework page and get a stack blitz set up and working. And I guess that does well. Okay, so a quick solution to my whole embedding the framework problem is to just use a GitHub CDN and import the app from from the CDN in the stack blitz thing. So essentially it wouldn't have its own framework. So none of the framework files would be in there, which then means somebody trying to figure out how it works wouldn't be able to kind of see and plunk around in there. But from just a quick quick setup, you could just one click, you click and boom, you got the working editor that has the code and the rendered bit, and then you can also create new files and kind of test the whole thing and see most of the code anyway. But another thing about having all these separate starter sites is that I've configured the actual server class. Not even I should move it into this instance instead of hard coding all the directories and watch paths and log statements and all this stuff. There's like a handful of spots where I'm hard coding the server there. I could pretty easily just switch that to a configuration option that you would pass in the server file. But then the server class is not part of the framework, and so I've been kind of copying it around, and it's pretty minimal. It's not like, this one's a little less minimal, it's still pretty short. But copying all this code is such a bad idea because it's like just duplicating, and it's never clear which version it is, whether I've changed anything. Sometimes I'll make little changes just because it's so quick and easy to do it. But then you forget, what did you change? How does this affect things? And there's, I don't know, like using Node Package Manager or Git for that is kind of the prescribed solution, but it just gets so complicated so fast that sometimes, well, and I don't have the experience to know exactly how to manage, lots of modules, submodules, dependency trees. Like, I was looking into the whole peer dependency thing of NPM yesterday. It's a whole nother thing. So, what can I do here today in the limited amount of brain space that I have? I'm just not really feeling motivated to do anything, to be honest. Today's my gym day. Kind of dreading going to the gym, but I guess we'll do it. Keep that Wednesday dream alive. Well, so I think maybe one of the better things to do is to think through some of these conceptual issues. Like, well, so stack blitz probably isn't going to be a target. Like all, stack blitz or code spaces or whatever. I think it's just a quick kind of preview tool, not a, like, I need to make this work. And so in terms of, bringing updates into this, I don't know, doesn't it say that for every, like, some of these things say for every pull request it'll give you a unique URL? What was I reading about that? I don't remember. It's just the submodule thing. If submodules don't work and that's my go-to strategy, well, I mean, so I could make it a node module, but then it needs to be publicly served. It needs to be in the public directory. So then, and I was testing this yesterday, I was installing, or, well, I was installing, but I was just testing out having a second node modules directory underneath the inside the public directory, and then using an import map to map, basically just to shorten the path to these packages. It's not a bad idea. It just creates a whole new management step. And so while using npm to, like, is essentially a submodule manager, because you can run the update commands and it'll pull changes, and it'll do, well, you can install new modules in a piecewise form, like a very modular way. So you only bring what you need. And then, I mean, so in a way, like, npm does a lot of really cool stuff in that regard, like managing all the multiple versions. So then I was looking into that, and I was like, okay, well, what if you have multiple versions of a package where, in my framework where I have this view class and having multiple versions of my view, I guess that's a whole nother question. But generally, you'd probably want to support multiple versions of the same package name, just because it could be an error. Maybe they're compatible, but, like, you might actually need that at some point. But then that you can use scopes in your import map. But then I'd be spending several days at least writing an import map generator that's going to be like, I'm going to hack it together and it's barely going to work. And I'm tired of doing these, like, Hail Mary passes that just hardly work and then take way too long, and the code is messy, and I never want to go back and clean it up. And I gotta stop doing that shit. I gotta stick to what's simple. And I think maybe it's not doing node modules and in the public directory anyway. Or maybe it's just the framework. Maybe it's literally just one package, one import statement. But I think I might have to, I think if I map framework to node modules, probably be like at lu42/framework scoped package. But if I just map that, I don't know, can you map this to a directory? I'd have to play around with the mappings, but if I could get it to work where I wouldn't want to have to put, like, Well, I wouldn't want to have to manage import statements for all the kind of things inside the framework. If I had to map all of these, and every time I create a new one, I have to go and adjust the import map, I'd want to make a tool for that or something, and that would just be, I think that's out of my wheelhouse right now. So, but if I could do one, which was basically like framework, which would map to node modules at e42/framework. Now, if I map it to a specific file, let me ask the computer, like, hopefully it knows. I'll let it think deep about this. So, like, how do import maps work with when it comes to targeting specific files versus directories and the ability to import framework/sub. So I think I'd have to do like /app/app.js. So one import statement and then lots of these little would I want to do that though? Like, now all of my import statements all over the entire framework are going to have to change to these non-relative paths? Not necessarily. And maybe I just need one. Do I really even need any? Well, so okay, the problem is let's just title as one npm module for the framework. This would help stack blitz install. I think I might have to run a custom setup command that runs npm install in the public directory to then pull that package in. But it would just save me a step of having to update that repo and keep it synced. This is all probably just thinking way too far down the road, and I should just get it up first and then figure out how to get it in. So but okay, so what if the problem with npm public node modules is that then to import anything from the framework is no longer either framework or .framework, but it would be node modules framework or app.js unless an import map could fix it. The problem with the import map is that it would apply to the index.html, so pages on that site, but I don't think, well, you could create a dynamic import map that gets injected rather immediately upon importing the CDN script, but that, I mean, it's like, really? Already makes my head hurt. Already makes my head hurt. Any of these things that are like question mark, how does that work? Why would you want to do that again? And this is all just because of like one little update command, or it's probably 10 commands, but to update a separate repo. It's like, yeah, sort of, but it's also maybe setting up a workflow for more modular control of any sort of front-end module. So instead of having to use a CDN, instead of having to use I was also just thinking some other options here are npm link. If I wanted to just commit the, I guess it would be node modules to the repo, which is what I'm thinking. Well, no, I wouldn't have to, but I could. I could go either way. I was thinking I might. And you wouldn't have to npm install it in public. And they'd probably be very small modules, so it's not a huge amount of let's just say redundant data. And I don't think there's a problem with committing them, and it would make kind of the whole stack blitz thing a little bit easier. Also, it could work for GitHub pages. It would be compatible with GitHub pages. You know, if you just, well, if you didn't commit it, then it would be. So if I wanted to potentially, I mean, having one site for GitHub pages and for Stack Blitz, I just think is a mistake. But we're gonna kind of run with this for a second. Let's see what we can do here. So committing them may be a good idea. But I think I would have to have a separate repo. Still need a separate repo because of docs. And, well, the server has to be configured separately. I don't know, I could potentially fix that, but like all this DevOps shit, it's like, you know, there's definitely options there, but thinking through the potential, what could be, what should be, how hard is it, how complex is it a good idea? It's freaking crazy. Okay, so linking could be cool because then locally I could link the npm modules into. How does link work with versions? How does npm link work with different versions? Doesn't it just symlink the directories? Yeah, so when you create like link your library, links it to the global modules, and then anytime you install it with linking the library, it basically just copies that directory. Now that directory is probably, see, I don't know how npm publish works in terms of like, does it just copy the current code, like the current directory onto their server and like freeze it, or does it pull it from GitHub, or I don't know. I think it might just take it from your system where you run the command. So yeah, versioning. Overriding the versioning constraints. I wonder if npm link adds it to the package. Not sure, it might though. But the thing is that when you link my package, my library, that's not like a published NPM module, so it might actually not do that. So I know NPM link is kind of handy just for quick updates, but kind of code reuse locally. But like, it might not be a good long-term solution because I don't know. Well, maybe if we're doing this for modules that were in a public directory that get committed to the repo, then maybe it's not a terrible idea. Well, but then if it's a symlink, I don't know how Git handles that. I don't think it would actually work very well. Yeah, I mean, again, just so many layers of complexity where it's like, okay, it could work if I jump through a bunch of hoops, but it might not actually be possible, and either way, it just doesn't feel like a good idea. So we're gonna. But I think there was something else I was thinking. Because if I building the whole one of the advantages, as I was saying, was being able to pull packages in kind of more modularly and let npm do its whole like let's say you want to install something, and that thing can specify all of its dependencies. If you can get it into your public node modules with all its dependencies and in a way where you can import it into your site and it just works, like that's the ideal. Super simple, super easy. Now, you would need an import map, I think, or you'd want one so you don't have to write out node modules all the time. I mean, it's not terrible. Maybe that's just like something to do, but I could potentially just do like a really simple import map of like node modules to, or this be mod kind of points to node modules, so then you can import like mod framework or but maybe it would be more like mod app. But I mean, I think browser doesn't know how to look for index files, so you'd have to name the files, I think. Well, so a managed import map could be something in the future. Is using npm worth it? I think if I go down this path, I might realize like, wow, this is a lot of extra work and not sure it's really necessary right now. But redoing that kind of a system where it's got like a server where you can push things to and then pull things from on any machine. I mean, Git submodules sort of works. Like you can get it done with Git submodules. It just doesn't work well for like the stack blitz or whatever. So rather than kind of fight with my code and try and wrangle it into a new format with import maps and node modules and then realize like, oh, well, this doesn't work. I mean, the whole CDN URL thing, I don't know how the CDN bits would work with that, because especially if I started changing import. Now, if the one import statement that would be in like the app, in the main app, the root app would be, instead of this node modules framework, really long URL, I could just map that one, and then all the rest of them from there are relative, so that like all the framework URLs are all relative. Then I think it would just work. And well, then on any page you could import things using the import map, which the pages are generally. I mean, I was kind of hoping that you could export a page and then somebody else could import it on their site. That would be cool, but right now, I think that's a ways out. But yes, for the framework, being on the CDN, I don't think you can rely on any import maps unless you tried to inject one dynamically into the page that was importing the framework. But I don't think you'd want to. I don't know, that could get messy. I don't think that'd necessarily be a good idea and it'd have to get there. You'd have to do it first thing. I don't know. I don't think that's the path I want to go down, but I don't think it's necessary. So, could I get the framework into node modules and use an simple import map like that? I think it's possible, but maybe I just skip that for now and try and clean up this stack blitz thing and get it and just copy the framework in there kind of I'd have to redo the whole, I basically delete the folder, clone it back in, then go and delete the Git folder. Then I'm not sure if at that point I'd have to clear the Git cache and re-add it and commit it and whatever. It's a lot of steps. It's kind of bullshit. It's how is this so fucking hard? Well, okay, so the alternative is the CDN, right? Don't put the framework in there. People want to mess around with it, they gotta install it locally. Alright, we're gonna go with that for now. Where was I? Yeah, so it's gonna I don't know how long the cache lives. If I use a URL that points to the most current version, then maybe it's fine. I don't know, all this file system, code editor, version control stuff, I kind of don't think it would be that hard to create an IDE that's all browser based where I'd have to set up servers and I'd have to either containerize my system so that I could spin up new kind of VMs for people as they wanted to create their own sites. That's just such a huge step. This thing should work without all of that. Alright, I think I'm going to delete the node modules here. Let's just see where the stack blitz site get status. Let's go in here to stack blitz site and look at the app. So that worked, but we want to just revert this. Discard file, sure, let's just throw it away. We can save that for a second. I think we're just gonna discard this. I probably should have saved these, but now it's besides that directory thing, basically where it should be. I guess we can just discard that too because why not? Not gonna hurt anything. Alright, so I don't know, should I create the server into a node module so that it can be managed a little easier? I don't know. It's a pretty simple setup, and I'm just not sure if that's worth my time right now. Let's see if we can get the stack blitz site working. Node server. Okay, so got the framework embedded in there. and I believe it's in sync with the GitHub repo. And so it's essentially this one right here. I believe when you reload the page, it like reinstalls the whole thing, which is a little crazy. It's like I don't know if it clones it locally. It's like doing like a whole virtual file system. I think they got some crazy system going on here on this site. So I'm not really in love with this design. It's a little cluttered, but yeah, I mean, making it look more like a nice big fancy homepage could be useful. This isn't the docs page, this is the public page. How come this one doesn't show up? It should have. It says the socket's connected. Why isn't this one? Oh, because there's no file in there. I don't even think this directory exists in the repo. Public. Nope. I think that was just a test. Delete. Rename. Where is... Oh, delete permanently. Okay. Copy. Paste. Okay. Seems to work. So if I could get this thing to highlight or like focus this public page, maybe I clean it up so rather than trying to do these little code editors, it's just, this is the editor with all the stuff. And bada-bum, bada-bum. I don't know how I feel about pushing changes from here. I guess we could try it, like public. Where was the other spot? There's no page wrapping. Can we fix that? Settings. You have to save it, or does it just save? There we go. Kind of crazy. And yes, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, I was trying to record a video to like give an introduction to the whole thing. And well, so let's think through this whole journey ahead of me on this framework. It's like my progress is so slow at this point. and whipping some bullshit together, as I've seen in the past, just doesn't work. It's like hardly even worth the time. And my brain doesn't allow me to think things through, to see hope and vision. And I'm just so fucking. This is the trap of life. I'm pretty sure this is just how it's designed, where, like, I used to have more ambition and could see problems and solutions and try and tackle them and, like, had hope. Thought, in due time, keep focused, keep working, it'll eventually kind of take shape and come. But then it's like, nope, the going gets harder and harder until you're just hardly making any progress. So now it hardly works. There is, I don't know, this whole dynamic sidebar thing where you can hide it. It's kind of cool. Not really sure. It's a decent test site, but, like, whether people can get into it and be like, okay, that's cool, or whether it's just sort of like, it needs to be better organized. The design needs to be cleaned up a bit. And I'm not sure exactly what to work on. It's like any one of those things could take a long time. And I don't think any new features or whatever I've built, or like played around with all these friggin' things that why aren't these working? Because it's trying to import the base. Why is there two dots? It's fucked. I don't know what happened. Didn't I delete the frickin' base? Maybe I just need a clean reboot of the whole goddamn thing. Rebuild it all from scratch. Get rid of all the bullshit. Try and keep it working as best as I can, and, like, clean the whole damn thing. It's just the core structure of where everything goes, and whether I'm using Git or npm, and how I can get the editable code into something like StackBlitz to let people see it. It's crazy. I also really think that a modular repo builder, like a modular file system that can sort of like node modules, but can pull code from wherever, whether it's a GitHub repo, and maybe it has whatever configuration options. It's sort of like just creating buttons for Git commands, but getting the whole thing to work. It's not just about, like, having the functions there. It's also, well, how do you use them, and does it work the right way? Can you do what you need to do without needing a command line or whatever? And at the end of the day, you probably just need the command line. And that's where, like, trying to emulate something like a StackBlitz, it's probably something that would be doable if I had, like, more intelligence. more focus. I mean, if I could actually stay focused on something. So, I don't know. Definitely seem to have fucked this, I don't even know, like, I guess this old framework is kind of the, like, I haven't even spun up this site in a long time, which is basically just the same thing, only with a handful of other pages. Should we see if that one even works? Might as well. I haven't even taken a look at it in a while. I don't think the framework has been up. Oh my. What have I done? I've made so many updates to the whole framework and I don't think I pulled any of them into this site. I believe this framework here is just a non-submodule. It's like the actual repo. But the home page, oh, it is just page, okay. But why? What happened? Is it just a CSS thing that's not loading? Accelerometer, and gyroscope. Why are these all coming from the... I don't know. Not sure what the heck's going on there, but why didn't... I really don't know why this broke so hard. I mean, I've reconfigured the whole Lu42 CSS and app system. I don't know if I could get that all working. I mean, I think generally it's like the same thing. Let's just try and update the framework. This is going to be madness, but probably a bad idea. Okay. So, I guess let's spin it up and see what it looks like. There's no way this works. And it begins. This is the Lu42 app. It probably doesn't need alright, so we're going to copy this kind of app. Let's just copy this, go down here. I think it's really kind of the same thing. There are no settings though on this one, so let's get rid of that. Haha. Yeah, where is that coming from? Page? Base? Yeah, fuck the base, man. Spent so much time removing that. Okay, that's good enough for me. It's not actually looking the right way. I think there's something missing here. I could just... Man, what is going on this home page? I don't think I want any of this shit, do I? Let's just let's just do this. Oops. Do this. This. Boom. And then app dot root page h1 home page. There's your home page. So what do we do now? Yeah, I mean, in some ways I'm thinking like maybe all this effort to try and publish and share my framework is like the wrong direction, and instead I just need to work on making some actual content that works, that can get an audience, that can like, you know, help. But it's all just take more time than it's worth. Not sure if it'll work. What should I work on next? It's fucking madness, man. It's fucking madness. So burned out. So done with this shit. But I have no option. I'm like forcing myself day after day for years and years to work on something that I don't even really want to work on anymore. I mean, it's not that I'd like to finish it. I just, for whatever reason, not a single fucking thing seems like the right way to go. And every single path I try and go down to make this thing work better is just met with truckloads of fucking smelly, nasty bullshit that shouldn't be there. It's like this shouldn't be such a pain in the ass to make a website, to get basic things working properly. But making it easy, where it's like drag and drop and takes 2 clicks instead of 5 days, nobody's figured it out yet, I guess. I guess I just keep trying to push forth, and I don't know. Okay, so the node modules thing, even though I just deleted that example, part of the problem here is I have this madness of all the things, and I don't really like them just jammed into one framework. NPM makes it easy to, I mean, that is kind of the solution, to just quickly install things and keep track of them. And it is sort of a submodule manager. The problem is that what I really am feeling as like one of the better pieces of functionality for any kind of framework like this is a file system UI that basically allows you to move shit around, like smart duplicate, so that it's sort of like cloning. You can clone a specific file just by like a couple clicks. And there's a lot of cool things that I think wouldn't be that hard to figure out. And unfortunately, the whole code editor part is a big piece of the problem. Now this one at least gets the highlighting nice. How does this work? Does this do... Yep, an overlay. So the text area goes z-index, is that right? Z-index 1, the pre... No z-index? So is it on top? I mean, if I could get a code editor that actually is easy to use. Does this support tab key? Yeah, that's cool. If I could get a code editor, how about Control Shift D? No. Whoa. Why'd it go over there? That's crazy. How does... Can't a code pen it works? Or is it just Control D? Control... I don't know. Well, so getting a code editor, I mean, it's been kind of an objective of mine, like a modular code editor. It's like all this configuration bullshit is just crazy. All right, let's figure this out. How the hell does this go on top? Z index 1. I mean, I think this is just naturally on top. Does this do color transparent? Yeah, I don't. It doesn't seem to be doing much there. Let's see what this thing is written in. Where's the damn link? Maybe it's not public yet. Crazy. Where's the actual script? Like, it doesn't tell you where it is, like where the code lives. Maybe you just copy it from this page. I don't know. Prism code editor. I don't think this is it. What? Doesn't seem to work. Prism.js. I mean, alright, I guess we can't use this one. Eval import meta URL. Why would So part of the problem is the syntax, getting the syntax highlighting to format properly and just line up properly. But generally, it seems like the pre is on top of the text area, and has all the code in there. But like, do you have to implement a bunch of like selection mechanisms and overlays and shit? I don't know how much fancy stuff this is doing. Are there any overlay areas, or does this just... Let's just delete this pre. Wait, what? It collapsed. Motherfucker. This is not the right use of my time. Trying to get a code editor so that I can create my own package management file editor system. Like, that was the dream a long time ago, but I'm realizing that chasing the shiny things that seem like they're the best ideas only leads to incomplete bullshit, and that the simplest thing, like figuring out the right things to do and doing them and just getting something going, is obviously... I'm not in love with this light gray background. I don't know why. It's I think maybe if I go E on the header and sidebar here, that it'll like soften the blow here. Is it obvious that those aren't white? I mean, yeah, because you have all the white over here and here. So I kind of think I don't really want them all white, but I guess that's what we gotta do, because I don't like the light gray. What the fuck, man? Chrome's been doing this where it ignores my selection. I think that looks better. I don't know how I like the layout. I mean, you could have other stuff up here, and you could pad it out on top so that it's a little bit more of like... But then you just have a lot of wasted space, and I think... I don't think it's bad. I think it works pretty well. God damn it, you motherfucker. What? Index.js? Oh, it's this one. Hopefully I didn't use the base class in this site. Okay. So... Oh, maybe I need to switch back to like game type shit that I actually want to work on. Because trying to force this website forward and it's just not working. It's like, what the fuck, man? Why does my brain work sometimes and not others? How come? It feels like it's rigged. Feels like there's something that's out of my control, and sometimes have brilliance and I'm able to think things through at a level that is so uncomparable to what I'm feeling right now. Just the amount of just You could call it brain fog or just lack of motivation, lack of focus, lack of like hope. I have no idea what is going to work. Been streaming for years, literally hours a day, many hours a day, trying to work on shit that's going to be productive. The CSS on this page is broken. I don't know why. Did I not? I thought I had. Hey, look, it's an import map. I think we need like margin 0 on here, but I don't know, why wouldn't that be there before? Maybe it's because I moved the, there we go. It's possible that I moved something. Like, so I import the core app, that should import the framework CSS. Shouldn't it? Shouldn't framework CSS be in here? Huh. No, because we didn't create an app, that's why. Probably could import the framework CSS in like this class file. But then it wouldn't be as configurable. Man, oh man. It's such a mess. What should I do? I mean, the WebOS has always been the thing that, like, I thought was the best thing for me to work on, and, you know, I've played around with so many of these distractions, like trying to find something inspiring or, you know, that I could make that would then be enough to, like, pull me through, where it's like, okay, if I just get this thing done, then surely I'll stick with it and finish it up or whatever. I think this thing's pretty damn sweet, to be honest. It's, I've remade this friggin' app in Unity and then in Play Canvas and now with 3JS. And, I mean, that's just, it's kind of crazy. Because each time was a little bit of a battle to get the flight controls, and I wouldn't really call it physics, but it's, you know, just the plane movement working. Getting some sort of, I mean, I could create different levels. I could actually, like, I mean, I do think a little bit of work on this thing could make it pretty sweet, where, you know, level design and then UI and like kind of the game flow type stuff. Getting it published and getting it like worth the while is such a long shot for me, because I mean, I think it could be a successful game, but it would take months of like just to get it launched, and then more months of getting people to test it and work out bugs and build it up and market it, spend a bunch of money, and probably with limited success. People are so used to like good games. I mean, I think it could be fun enough and have fairly reasonable ad structure where it could make money without being a bad experience. But it's hard to say. And it's like a web app now. It would have to be ported to probably via like Cordova or PhoneGap or whatever, ported from a web app to a native app. You could play via the web if you wanted, but could also, the idea was it would also be and then maybe like a real-time game where like you could fly around with other people. That would also be kind of a cool thing. But then you have a bunch of network bullshit to deal with. You need a bunch of servers and... Okay, what do we do? Been sitting here for over an hour thinking about all kinds of useless bullshit, and seems like I don't know, just seems like, what if I just take out the version? Does 3JS have just have it auto update? Let's just duplicate these. I don't know why I switched from loading my own to loading I don't know. I'm not sure. I think there was issues with it. I couldn't get it to load properly. I don't know if it had something to do with that module file was, or this library file was not importing the rest of them properly or something. I don't really remember. Let's comment these out and see if nuking the version will load the most current version. Is this the problem? I don't think I need this. I don't know if that's actually the problem. Why isn't this working? Resolve module specifier 3. It must be from this index, but like it's not even. I'm so confused. What the fuck is going on, man? Where are you coming from? Why don't you have a stack trace or any kind of anything? Yeah, I think it's something inside these modules, but 181.2 guess if that's what it wants. I don't know why that's so important. No, you motherfuckers. It was working a second ago. Maybe they fucked up their build process and now it doesn't work. Jesus fucking Christ. There's no way it's not even using that. Wait, it is using that? Oh my god. That's crazy. Did I have to hack this into place to like export all the things? Holy shit. Huh. I mean, that's unfortunate that, like, you just can't use... I'm just going to leave this because I don't feel like dealing with it, but... Well, I could update... Alright, so let's leave this. Let's try and go back and just update the... Let's comment these out because we want to keep these in case these don't work. But, well, first let's try these. I mean, I'm so confused. Not using the orbit controls, but we're also getting just the on before render. I think, yeah, it's my 3JS version here that I've copied in here that's just not, I don't even know why it's there. I don't know why it's not using this one. Basically what's happening is that like these packages inside either this one or this one are requesting 3 and it's hitting my my import map and then loading this library over here, which I was hoping not to even have to use, but it's just stupid. I could maybe map. I could try this. Let's see if we can map 3 to this thing. The fuck? I crash or something. There. Haha, no more friggin' log statements. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Okay. Now let's see if we can just get rid of these versions. Oh, forget it. I don't want to break something. Man, that's so many ambitions for my website, and now I'm just fucking so tired of it. I do feel like another one of the big things that's missing from this whole system is a better content format. And it has to do with, I think the file system is important, but it's like writing the templates kind of like this, getting the references to work properly and the code to work properly. It's kind of shit. It's hard. Well, I guess it's sort of, you need to do similar things one way or the other, but I was wondering if some sort of script UI to manage dependencies and imports and whatever, but I don't know. I think it gets really complex really quick, and even if I could wrap my head around the problem and solution and try and set forth to like design something, it's going to be a mess and it's not going to work real well. So I think sticking to just these little code snippets isn't the worst idea. The thing I like about it is that I know what it's doing. It's doing very simple things in the background, and so I also know when everything is happening, and so, you know, it's not like it's some sort of write your code here and hope that everything works properly, and then you have no idea how the code's actually being run, which is what I felt with all the other frameworks. I'm just now thinking about making a better layout library. You gotta be fucking kidding me, man. I bet there's 1,000 pages in here that have this fucking base. That's crazy. I guess I just do them one at a time. These little snippets that I've copied around are going to be... next time I try and remove one of these, it's going to be going back through the whole goddamn thing. I think it's this card class or something. Directory, no? I don't know. I don't know why the directory doesn't have a background anymore. I don't know why this area doesn't have a background anymore. Card, yeah. My card class disappeared. I don't know. I'm burned out with it. Fucking toasted. It's kind of a cool layout. I wonder if like text align right. Can you text align right on this thing? Text align right. Add a gap to the... Man, what is going on in this layout? Holy shite. I think this is a relatively new... Yeah, that's what's going on. Is this layout class that I've repurposed is breaking old shit. I don't know if I can... I mean, I could just try and dump this site into like lou42.github.io and try and get it working for a minute, just as a place to like have it somewhere. I'm really tired of breaking my own shit, and it's kind of crazy. It's not hard to do once you start refactoring stuff. Let's just play around with some new layouts. How about a new folder named grid? Does that show up? I think we need a new file page. Should show up in the list here. Look at some grid layouts. I believe on this page I'm listing some of the oh, wonderful page. This is literally going to be the end of me trying to go through all those. Grid page. Wait, what? I must have copied it before deleting that. That was grid layouts. Not so easy to get these things set up. Let's try for a holy grail. I think we just, yeah, we don't want any of that shit. Alright, so let's say div I think we should have a style element, right? Oops. All right, let's give this a go. So we want something like, let's go dark on this background. Looks like it's collapsing. So the root is held open by the flex grow. Can this just be height? Min height 100%. Surprised that works because it often hasn't worked in the past because this one doesn't have its own height, but I guess I will accept as long as it works, whether it's to do cross-browser testing for all this bullshit. So is this going to have conflicts with the rest of the site? Let's just say header. This needs to be back to min height 100%. And then, how come we can't even see that shit? We literally can't see that. Oh, because the color is holy grail header color white. Okay. Let's just add holy grail and holy everything in it at all depths padding. Just to see the damn shit. And how about even, well, maybe it's just the things inside holy grail children at all levels, background RGBA 000.1. This is sort of that UX class. Could I just do it like this instead? I feel like, yeah, but I kind of like not doing that right now because it doesn't work with my, trying to do some like Spotify type layouts where there's just a bunch of shit going on. I was messing with CSS Grid. I don't know why I'm kind of going down this path. It's just mainly the sidebar on my site is kind of shit. It has a variable width. Well, here, let's duplicate. Let's make this a little bigger. No, not like that. Windows like this, and then like this, and then let's go home. Bring up this guy and go to, well, so it's this sidebar, and when you dig into something, the width grows. It's actually I was getting a horizontal sidebar. It's actually not terrible right now, but I don't know. I don't know if grid is better for sidebars. Now, the AI was telling me if you want like a responsive card where I was doing this in CodePen. Yeah, this one. There's actually two cards here. Card margin bottom 3M. If you want like this type thing, it was saying use flex and then use this like flex grow with like a number like 100 or 1,000, so that I think it's so that like the one side tries to take all the space and the other side kind of collapses to its basis. I messed with these properties. I don't really know what's best there, but like it's sort of two columns, but like one, the sizing is different. So it'd be like if you had like a grid of images. So this image is clearly taller. I don't know if that's good. Doing these like responsive cards and figuring out the right layout for them, I think could be kind of tricky. But I do think these should just be things that are standardized. It's like if you want it to behave like this, then use this CSS, and like starting with a base styling where it's like, okay, here's the base styling that is the best to start with, and then you can modify it in these different ways to kind of go in different directions to get different outcomes, and then test it with all kinds of like different length content, different size children, and all the different things. I mean, doing robust layout testing is like, I think most web developers and website, like they get the shit done that they need, but like whether it's working in the right way or not, I don't know. Maybe there's like clearly better ways to do all these things, but there's just so many properties and so many different ways to do it that I feel like it's probably a shit show, and everybody's kind of hard coding different heights and widths and making certain ones more fluid, and as long as it works, I guess, right? Is kind of the idea. But look, there it breaks. Now this is at a really low width, but generally when things break, it's a sign that it's this min width that if the min width isn't there, then it gets a little too small. I guess, yeah, I mean, an image that tall would be kind of weird. Anyway, so lots of layout things to consider. But the sidebar here, I don't know, it works. Maybe it's not even the right thing to be working on right now. It's trying to do I mean, I was just saying to myself, doing more like extraneous work to just test things out. I'm like drifting in my mind to try and figure out what it is I need to like move this thing in the right direction. I don't like the homepage. I don't like the layout. I don't like I mean, I could get rid of the footer. That might clean it up a little bit. If I do that in the framework, then have I made any edits to the framework? I gotta be careful like what I start modifying, because now once I start getting the framework in different what is this, public framework git status. So there's no major changes to it yet. Once I start modifying things, I gotta be careful to push them back up and pull them back down, because now I have a bunch of different repos using the framework, which is sort of what I've wanted, but maybe for that reason the whole npm update is the best way, because then I can lock it down to a specific version. I can then make changes without breaking the old things, and then I can try and update it on a need to update basis. It's just the import map thing kind of makes me feel bad. If I start trying to use npm for every additional module, it's going to be a huge pain in the butt. And let me write out that kind of, see if I can Import map, again, it was basically framework to node modules at Loop42. I think that's the folder, and then framework. Now, figuring out if this, then we import framework /app/app.js. Is that how that's going to work? It would be core. I could also have well, for example, I could do core, map core to node modules at Loop42/core. Keep the core separate. I don't know. It's like, so once you publish and consume a node module, then it's not really as good of an idea. Well, I don't even know. Can you edit it? It's not part of a Git repo once you pull it in. And so, like, you could modify, especially if I'm committing it, I could make local modifications, but that would be a bad idea because then it deviates. It basically branches the thing off from the original. And it could work for like a rare use case or whatever, but anytime I want to edit the actual node module to be shared with all the sites, I would have to have a specific place, specific repo that I go to. And instead of using submodules, then I would publish the thing and then have to update it everywhere else. I don't think I want to try and link these things because that's going to be good locally, but not good for anywhere else. Huh. Also, if I linked like the core like that, then I could, instead of always, it shortens the import for this, so I could import core app.js. I could map all the things, so like core/app. I could map that to node modules, Loop42 core app.js. So then I could just import core app. It's kind of a cool import statement. I don't think I would want to use import map for outside of like a site's pages, because and then they're not gonna, you wouldn't be able to import them. Like if you relied on an import map from an HTML file. Now, a dynamically generated import map that's dynamically injected and let's just take a quick note about that. I think it feels bad. Dynamic JS generated injected import map. Like if the import map is part of the HTML and you try to import a script from another page, then it's not going to work. Or at least the import map functionality breaks because the import map would not be imported. But you'd have to have cores set up to have like shareable scripts. So the whole idea is like you could import some page from somebody's site.com/path to page.js. So if I created a page and you wanted to like embed it in your site, it would be as easy as just importing it. This is kind of one of the thoughts I had, was that shouldn't you be able to just publish scripts and pull them in from your site or from anyone else's site and extend them and share them and embed them and whatever. Problem with this is I don't think you can do this without cores headers. Like, so basically you have to set up your server to allow other people to use it. to allow, you know, your scripts to be shared, which is kind of a crazy thing. Like, couldn't you just fetch and inject a script? I think module imports fail. I forget how that works. I'm not sure if evald code can even have import statements. You might have to do a dynamic import or something. I could test that, but these complex solutions are no bueno. Separating out my code into different node modules. The problem was, you know, making changes to the framework that then, you know, if I use a submodule, part of the idea there is that then I can make changes and it tracks them, and then I can push them back up and then pull them in other sites. The problem with that is that then I'm very likely to get them out of sync, and especially the more time goes on that, like, I haven't touched a project in forever and forgot what had changed, and make a ton of breaking changes to another repo, which is sort of like what I thought I had going on with this one. Thankfully, I stitched it back together, at least roughly, but now there's a bunch of errors in here. So making sites that don't break in the long term is just, it's been something that I've not been able to do, apparently. Like, all my shit breaks. It's either it's not hosted anymore, it's on like a repo that I just not even sure how to turn the switch on it or whatever, and that's bad. It's like I shouldn't create all these code examples, spend all this time grasping for success, and then just not doing anything with it. And so my back hurts, my brain hurts, my life hurts, my framework sucks. It's fucking garbage, man. Don't want to do this shit anymore. Have no choice. This is my path I chose, and so I have no fucking choice but to keep pushing through. Alright, node modules feels bad. It's the import map, which is installing them into the framework or for the public directory is not actually that big a deal, in my opinion. It's the import map management. I really don't want to map to each individual one. That's going to be kind of a nightmare. Could I use the directory to generate the import map? The directory could have all the node modules listed, and then all of the files could be automatically added to an import map. But that means, unfortunately, that would mean waiting for the directory JSON to load before generating the import map, before loading a single script. I guess on the initial load, maybe it takes a minute longer to load up, you know, the directory, and then it should be just cached after that, right? But maybe not. Maybe that's a bad idea. Well, so let's say I hard code it. It's not a terrible thing to do. Could even just hard code a couple, like each what the fuck? No. Copy, paste, framework. If I can get the maps for just the main package names, then I would still need the full path, kind of like this. Import framework Well, so yeah, if the core was a package and the frame and the extensions were a package, then I could just ditch the whole framework package. Having it all in one is probably so. To begin with, I mean, to not have to map every single thing, that could be reasonable. Again, I don't like. I don't know, could the import map be part of, instead of having it be part of the HTML? Could it be part of the app.js or something? Or a separate file anyway, just to have it. I'm trying to think of a way I could generate these things dynamically so that I don't have to micromanage the damn thing. Writing a custom server script, I don't enjoy it. It's like doing file system manipulations, trying to get the path names to line up, trying to like do string manipulations. It's just all hacky shit show. But this would potentially allow for faster and better package management. But okay, so the thing that I was trying to avoid is having a big giant package with a bunch of things in it, all at different versions. Because when you do that, they're all tied together, and then you can't update one without updating them all, basically. They're all tied together, so like the whole system needs to increment. And then if you had some, okay, so what happens there is when you couple the versions, like let me make a quick note about this. This is where the experience with version control I think there's like a huge depth to it that I can barely try and even think about. But you create a npm package with multiple classes, especially if they are unrelated or not entirely coupled. Like if they're absolutely dependent on each other in the same version, then keeping them in the same package is fine. But like if you essentially do this like giant package, then what would inevitably happen is that one project uses some extensions and sort of relies on their current state, and then you'd update you'd eventually break it, and well, it's more, I mean, it's like you wouldn't have to update it, but if you tried to, then you'd likely end up breaking some things, and so you couldn't. More or less, the conclusion is you couldn't update individual classes. You'd have to update all or nothing. Is kind of the takeaway there, and so, but the benefit is you have to update each individually. Now I think npm does that all at once, right? I haven't managed enough big projects to know how npm update even works. I usually just install and just go from there and don't really update it because I never have had a need to. But if I'm developing my own packages and the versions start moving and I have potentially a dozen extensions. It's a trade-off for sure. I don't. So the ideal. I have a way to. I mean, it might just be in the short term. You run npm install prefix public whatever. Well, it'd probably be my. Packages, and it pulls all the dependencies. So as I created things that depended on other things, it would just track them all and nothing would ever break. And so then I could essentially have, the idea would be, rather than carting around this giant frame with a bunch of old broken shit, which I could clean up and not necessarily. Well, it's probably something I should do. I don't know if putting it in like a different folder on my computer just for now, in case I want to pull it back out. I don't know. See, like these little tasks of just where do you put shit, how should things be structured, is that going to work in the long term, am I going to break it while trying, how long is it going to take? There's just so much uncertainty, fear, uncertainty, doubt. It's just all the fucking bullshit. It's just bullshit. It's so much bullshit, and it's like the entire system is just caked with it. And so you can't do anything without just digging deep into your soul and being like, wow, is this gonna work? Can I even stomach this? And it shouldn't be that hard to clean it up, like to just make things easier. So I think a big part of the problem is that there's a huge amount of natural complexity, and then as it's been solved and sort of like all right, I think that'll do for now, and then it sort of works, but then there's some edge cases where it really fails, and so there's just a lot of these like partial solutions. Like you need Git and npm, and we have a million different ways to host a website, and none of them are easy. You have to like string so much bullshit together, and well, so I kind of think that building a file system, the Better File System API, I don't know, can I ditch Git and npm and create my own, I don't know, maybe using the whole object storage thing, if I created the right API for it, I could push shit up to the cloud and rely on it, or put it on a hard drive for backup. I mean, if I could really get like solid file system API working, where I can drag folders around, folders of code, like with references and everything, but like move shit around without breaking it. And I don't even know exactly what that looks like right now, because there's just so many references. Like when you organize things into lots of different files, then you have a lot of references, and those references are very prone to breaking unless you're very careful and either update them or have some sort of system that doesn't break. And But let's think that through for a second, because that it's a super long shot to like forget get and npm, use node plus either sockets or maybe HTTP, but probably sockets. Well, I mean, I guess it would probably be use cloud object storage APIs to push it to cloud. I mean, I think some of the bigger challenges there are then just using all the authentication APIs, user accounts, like paths. It could be a kind of a nightmare to figure it all out, and there might not be good solutions for all the things. I might need to, for example, so I think the way the object storage works is you just have these giant blobs, and you can essentially put, you can either have multiple objects essentially with different string names that can resemble paths, and so you can kind of like break shit down and build it back up into actual files. But I mean, I've always felt that it feels bad. It seems like a bad idea. Like it's just a lot of extra, like even if it could work, it's just a lot of extra code and logic to manage a file system you're just using the wrong tool for the job. You need an actual file system. So that's where the VM came in, is I do have a cloud, a VM on the cloud that has, I think, 10 gigabytes of hard drive space, which is more than enough. And so maybe that can work, but I'm not sure. Not sure exactly how that would work. Maybe I would just need cores and host the shared code on the server, but at some point you need something like version control to be able to make changes and save it and branch it and make more changes and save it without affecting the thing that's published. Like, it's not like I can just edit the thing live. So I think at some point you need some massive versioning system. And recreating the UI to branch the things and diff them, view the old one and the new one and see the timeline of all the changes and whatever. Might not be absolutely terribly hard, but if I can't get a homepage working, how the hell am I going to get a fucking file system API working? So, how would this work? Like, what would be the ideal setup? And I definitely think it's something similar to what I have. It's just more like, there's the whole cloud development tool part is just a massive undertaking, and that's not anywhere near. But like a file system API to manage versions, yeah, I think it's just way too far, way too much time and way too much thought, and I'm so burned out I can't do it. It's a fucking broken system you have to deal with, because that's all that there is. And as they just melt my brain into a pile of mush, pull the spiritual chair out from under me so that I can't think, just basically waiting to die here. Maybe I should speed up that process. Just absolutely terrible experience. Like, absolutely terrible experience. And it feels fake. Like, it feels so fake. Like, we've been to the future. All the tech, software, products, movies, games, super complex. And there's so much of it. There must be like millions of millionaires. And yet, we've got a cancerous government, and we're on the brink of World War III, and nobody fucking cares about anything. So it feels fake, and it feels bullshit, and it feels like I just want to wake up from this. I don't want to wake up. I just want to go to sleep and not wake up. Do not want to exist anymore. It's miserable. Absolutely fucking miserable. And after so many years of trying to deal with it, it's just, I gave up a long time ago. I just don't have an option. I can't do anything about it. Fucking hell. I mean, could you just copy folders and files, but like, you just duplicate it in a way where the code can could compare the versions or switch versions or whatever. Sort of like Git has, these like invisible versions, but it's not easy to access the data without checking out a different branch, which switches the entire frickin' thing. And so I've always felt like each thing within the directory should have version control, obviously, right? Like, and you should have a user interface for switching all the little things. And I could design that if my brain worked anymore. I have the skills. I have the intelligence. I have the capability. I don't have the spiritual permission. That's what it feels like. Maybe I'm just out of tokens. But in any event, completely lost respect for this place. The whole system. Like, if there's a God, he's a fucking jackass. If there's any kind of like reasonable anything going on, it would surprise me. I think it's a scam, and I would much rather not exist. Than keep going. I just want to make some fucking code. Some fucking layouts that work. A website that doesn't suck. I guess I'm just gonna fuck around with this grid layout because I've got nothing else to do. I hate my life. Why did I spend my life learning how to do something so useless? It's fucking crazy, man. Whoa. Grid automatically does that? Did not know that. Now I think without the min height part, it wouldn't do that. But it's sort of like an autofill. There is no grid direction though. Huh, that's kind of cool. I would imagine that the, let's edit it here, I would imagine the size of the second one matches. Huh, interesting. Never really played around with grid. Let's refresh for a second. Just put like a paragraph in here. Okay. The margin on the paragraph is a little nuts. Not actually sure the difference between, like, how does it come up with this space? Is this like half of, yeah, it looks like it's about half of this space, so that it's kind of a weird way to do it. So stretch is default. Interesting. On both of them. It's really confusing what's going on here. It's like these things kind of work together. Maybe not. It's like maybe this only works if it's stretch. But why would, that's confusing to me. Why would stretch and one of these go like that? It's not stretching anymore. But it might just be in kind of conflict where this overrides that, maybe. But now if you have both of these, this aligned content takes priority, apparently. I don't know if that's really weird. I don't want to try and wrap my head around why that could be the case. Well, so the grid template properties are kind of the thing, and I believe it's something like grid template columns this is where I was messing around with it. And so auto is based on the content. I don't think you really want auto, and I don't know if you want pixels, like yeah. So and then you define areas, like if you want the header to actually go across the top. CSS grid is a really weird, it's sort of like this kind of completely different mentality in terms of ordering and positioning and whatever. But I do think having a fixed width sidebar is the right idea. Fixing widths to me is just like, you don't want to fix it because the browse, you want to adapt to whatever size. And so fixing any size, and like here, it doesn't scale. So I could change that to 20, would it be like 30M? Whoops, not 3. Whoa, that's 30M? Why did I think, or did I go the wrong way on that? Anyway, so now it scales with my responsive sizing, but, well, I guess let's just hack this together. I think it's grid template areas, and then header, header, header. How does the grid template areas work? I was on Spotify's site. Thought I had that open. Where's the left sidebar? The parent container has all these grid template areas. In quotes. Holy fuck. Really, guys? Why do you need quotes for this shit? That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I hate my life. And then you just, I don't know, maybe you can just keep going. Call it content, content, content. No, let's call it left think auto is what it defaults to. I think I should go 15M for now to kind of give it some width. But I think I want the header to be Holy Grail header to be grid template. How do you specify the grid template thingy? Well, let's look at the header here. Maybe. Where are you, header? I think, yep, this is the one. Grid area. Grid area. And then what this means, I have no fucking idea. Let's ask the computer. What does this mean? Size and location. Grid row start. Grid column start. Why would you do that? Grid row start, column start, row, and maybe because it's like if you leave them off, then crazy. Top banner and global nav. I think it's grid area, header start. We use slashes for each one, right? Jesus Christ. I think one header and -1. Is that really what you have to do? So then we want to define the grid template rows, and let's just say like 3M, 4M, and 1FR. Okay, so why main is, oh, it's because it's reserving this amount of space over here, and this is, okay. If you just leave this off, then it goes full and has a weird gap over there for some unknown reason. What are you doing, grid? Why is this one full and this one's not full? Crazy. I don't know if trying to figure out CSS grid is. I stayed away from it for such a long time. It just seems so confusing and unintuitive and just like a big nightmare. Maybe it's because I specified too many areas. Okay, that fixed it. That's weird. Maybe it's because like the header was told to go to the end and it found an area there, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool that you can do these like complex layouts pretty quick, but it's not at all intuitive what these properties mean. It's very cryptic. And so if you were trying to build a system of like creating grid layouts with the UI, I think Webflow did it, and I'm not sure exactly what kind of buttons they have and how well it works. Generally, you'd want something like this. Let's see if these do anything now. These seem to have no effect. These seem to have no effect. Maybe these are just kind of, oh, okay. Interesting. Not sure what's going on here. Don't think any of these are really useful. What the fuck? Okay, so it's just kind of like, I think they could be for certain alignment cases. Well, so, but then the problem becomes, how do you, for example, hide the sidebar? Let's just say we delete it. And then the main shifts over, and you'd have to like reconfigure the whole system. Now you could maybe make something like this. Grid area. Is there like grid area? Grid. So maybe grid column. Column? Is this like start and end? Okay, interesting. So yeah, I mean, you'd have to like, well, what happens if we have a sidebar and then we do that? Grid, it's probably gonna push it. It must. Column 1/-1. Yeah, it goes down there and becomes a footer. So to make, well, to hide a sidebar, you'd have to flip a bunch of properties around, which is not intuitive, but maybe better than the so the Flexbox one now, I mean, it's working, right? Why not just leave it? Fuck. No, I don't like it. I don't fucking like this thing. It sucks. I don't know what to put on the homepage. I don't like the design of it. I don't. Having a bad day. Too much